Hey guys, Heavy on 45 here. Now, I promised y'all a video on last Tuesday, but we all were fighting this thing called snow where I'm at, and some people decided not to come to work. And it's not their fault, the weather changes people's activities, and that's cool. But because they didn't come to work, I had to stay at work a little bit of time. And because of that, I wasn't able to put the video out on time. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it out today. If you haven't seen it, okay. If you have seen it, hope you enjoyed it. And since this is my last Monday being able to talk about the this month of Black History Month, that sounded awkward. But yeah, since this is my last time being able to talk about Black History Month, since it's the last Monday of the month, I'm gonna go ahead and finish it out with something light, something a little bit funny. Um, Requirements of being black. There's not there's a lot of stuff that we say you have to do to be black. You have to eat chitlins and stuff. And there's a lot of beliefs like the stereotype of black people like chicken, watermelon, um, we drink Coke 45. Kind of like the belief that all white people have to have pumpkin spice. You know, I was going around during Thanksgiving trying to get food so that I could have something nice for Thanksgiving. And next thing I know, I'm looking up there and I'm like, oh, they have eggnog. And I felt like they went too far because I'm sitting up there. I'm like, okay, we have eggnog, we have vanilla eggnog, we have pumpkin spice eggnog. I'm like, what the hell? Pumpkin spice? I'm like, y'all going too far. And I'm like, oh my goodness, they messing it up. You know, some things do not need pumpkin spice, but as they're forcing down my throat, white people love pumpkin spice. Pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin spice brownies, pumpkin spice, pumpkin spice. I don't see what the big deal is about pumpkin spice. That's just me. Just give me a regular whatever. Just give me a regular jug of eggnog around Christmas time and I'm good. So, but I'm going to talk about the requirements of being black when it comes to movies. There are certain movies that if you have not seen them, you're required to have some knowledge of them in some way. And the first one and probably most important one that you have to have seen is Roots. And the reason you have to have seen Roots is because Roots is the center of all slave information that most people know. The first thing we ever hear about is, what's your name, boy? And you hear Kunta as he's being strung up. And the man's like, Master gave you a name, called you Toby. And you're like, huh? Toby? I mean, that's essential for because it's everywhere. You saw Chappelle make fun of it. Dave Chappelle. The Chappelle show made fun of that. There's always it's almost essential for you to know something like that. And it kind of worried me at one point because I didn't see all of Bruce. I saw like the first 4 hours of it, which it's a sit down for you to watch that. It is something that you have to take your time and watch. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't finish it. Mostly because as I started watching it, I started seeing people like I'm like, why is the cast of Star Trek on here? I'm seeing Jordy LaForge as Kunta Kinte. I'm seeing Jean-Luc Picard on here. I'm seeing Tuvok from Voyager on the. I'm seeing Captain Janeway. I'm like, this is a screwed up idea they had to put onto a holodeck. I'm like, this show is crazy. But getting back to the actual thing, yeah, Roots is literally what everyone is like. Yeah, it's one of the first things people saw that dealt with the culture of what happened to black people from, I want to say, the black perspective. Uh, you know, white people had birth of nation, black people had roots. Who knows? Um, Another movie that is essential for somebody to know is The Color Purple. You have to know The Color Purple. Like you have to remember Oprah Winfrey coming up talking about uh you told Harpo to beat me. I love Harpo. God knows I do. But I kill him dead if he put him. And if you read the book, it's a lot worse. And it's it's essential. You have to, if somebody's like Harpo, you know who that is. Miss Sophia, Miss Seeley, Mister. Don't even know his name. Well, the if you read the book, you know his name, and you know his name if you listen to some people talk. But the only thing Miss Seeley knew him as is Mister. She never found. Well, she found out what some of his names were. But yeah, it it's essential. You remember all this stuff. I remember sitting up there and I would just look at the movie and I saw Harpo fall through the ceiling. And the first thing I remember, the boy coming up in the house about it gonna rain on your head. I laughed my tail off. I don't even know why. And to me, that was something that, and to me, that was something that stuck with me. But all the lines that you hear from Color Purple, like you hear in other shows, till you'll hear somebody talking about till you do right by me, everything you do is gonna suffer. I've had somebody try to put that voodoo on me. They looked at me, put that same finger mark like Miss Seeley did, and said, "Till you do right." I'm like, I ain't did nothing to you. Get your tail out of here. That's it. You know, it's The Color Purple. It's roots. You know these things. Like you have to have some idea of something from these. Um, Even vaguely. A Spike Lee joint. If you've never seen every single Spike Lee joint, you've seen at least one Spike Lee joint if you're black. You know, you've had to say Do the Right Thing or Malcolm X or Bamboo. See, mine is Bamboozle. I like Bamboozle because I always talked about being a writer and I want to write in plays and movies, kind of like what Tyler Perry did. But I want to keep mine being consistent. And I'll talk. I'm on the talk crap about Tyler some other time. But yeah, I want to be somewhat like him. And that's watching Bamboozle. You see somebody who's producing movies, black movies that exploit black people, but you also see the acceptance that people give to something that is so demeaning to the black race and how popular it becomes like wildfire. And there's a couple punches at different other things like Tommy Hilfiger and things like that. Um but yeah, you have to have seen something that Spike Lee did. Even if it's the Black Klansman or he got game. He got game is a good one too. It shows the whole idea of someone trying to be a basketball player, trying to live up to life. He's getting out of college. Got a dad that's in prison trying to get him to go to school. He finally decides to go to. He does go to school that his dad suggested, and it's because one, it's good fit for him, and it's good for him. Yeah, he doesn't get all the benefits like he did from other schools, because like one school he had a white girl he had them like throwing white girls at him, and it literally is how people saw trying to get into stuff like that. Like they, as a black athlete, they're constantly throwing stuff at you, just trying to entice you into doing stuff. Um, and you have everybody trying to put their 2 cents on what you should do, and in the end, it's not their business. It's not their life that they're having to deal with, and that's literally kind of what happened with Jesus Shuttlesworth. That was his name, Jesus Shuttlesworth. Um, he was basically trapped between trying to do what, trying to find a school and doing something that might help his dad. And in the end, he did go to the school that his dad suggested, and but the warden still, I don't feel like the warden let him out. It was like you had a certain amount of time to get your son to try and go to the school, but since you didn't, you're staying in prison. But he was still happy that his son went. Um, but any, oh yeah, Jungle Fever, and I haven't seen a lot of Jungle Fever. I've seen parts of it, but the main part I ever remember of Jungle Fever is myself getting, like, I haven't met Halle Berry before, but the first time I saw Halle Berry was when she was in the Flintstones movie, and whoo, man, she looked good in the Flintstones movie. But then they had that music on behind, and but seeing her, and let me tell you, I am a big Samuel L. Jackson fan. Seeing him sitting there with Halle Berry and they both getting high on crack as Wesley Snipes, supposedly Samuel L. Jackson brother, come in and he's like, "Hey, Gator, what you do with Mom's TV?" And Gator just looks at him as they lay in there and says, "What the hell are you talking about? We smoking it." I'm like, it wasn't until later I found out that Samuel Jackson actually did have a drug problem one point in his life. But I'm like, it was just the coldness. He's like, "Babe, what the hell you talking about?" That's the one part I always remember. We smoking it. Halle Berry didn't look sexy in that one. She looked like a crackhead, and she did her part well. Um, Good thing I can bounce it out with Boomerang. Uh, I'm about to say Strictly Business, not Strictly Business, but um, yeah, Strictly Business, because the other one's called Risky Business. But this, yeah, so I can balance. I'll take away the whole idea of her being in Jungle Fever with the ideas of her being in other movies where she looked fine. Um, then another movie, I seen it, but I didn't see all of it. Well, I've seen it, and I think I kept coming in and out of, because I was a kid when I saw something. It was on TNT, and it was called Juice. Juice with Omar Epps and Tupac. Tupac did a lot of movies back in the day, and this was no different. And it shows the power of a gun. He it's like all of a sudden this person gets a gun. He thinks that he is all powerful. No, ain't nobody don't mess with him because he got a gun. Ain't Why would I mess with somebody who has a gun? You know, and you hear the little comment because after somebody dies, I mean, like the end of it, Omar Epps is standing over a dead body, and he's like, this guy just comes up to him like, "You got the juice now," and you like, "Huh? You got the juice now?" And Omar just walks off. I mean, it's a good movie. Don't get me wrong, but it's like you have to. You see that in other movies, like somebody just walk up and be like, "You got juice now." I remember seeing that in "Don't Be a Menace South Central." I drink your juice in the hood. That's how I know that it's in a part of black culture. Um, I can't say nothing else about. Another movie that I would say that is a requirement for black people is White Men Can't Jump, and it's mostly not because of the black man, but because of the white man. You see how he struggles just like the black man, and the black man is out there hustling. He's hustling hard, trying to make that bread, and you feel like Woody Harrelson could do anything else besides this. And you don't understand why the hell Rosie Perez lets him go ahead and like keep messing up when she just wants to get on to Jeopardy and try and make it in life. But he keeps messing up, so they keep being in the same place. Um, but yeah, and seeing how, and I would say that's also the reason why it's essentially because it shows the, if you watch, it shows the difference between um black people and white people, because it's like literally keeps saying, Wesley Snipes keeps saying to him, "Hey, white men can't jump. They can't." And he literally take him to the basketball court, and he tried to let him just try and dunk it. Can't do it. He does a layup, can't dunk. Why? Because white men can't jump. And it was just the, I guess, stereotypes of people in it that I think it is. That like black people always trying to hustle somebody. Speaking of people hustling somebody, if you don't know who this man is, you have a problem. Shaft is the baddest man alive. Well, not the baddest man alive, but Shaft was one of the first black exploitation people out there. You know what I mean, like, if you don't even have to know, you didn't have to see the old Richard Roundtree, but they do. But just the song will get you going, and like, oh, we can dig it. He's a complicated man, but nobody understands him but his woman. I mean, Shaft was even like, you knew stuff about him. You knew that if you watched the Shaft movie, he was like one of the baddest detectives out there. He just was a private eye that tried to find take care of cases. That was it. You know, the same thing you get in the 2000 and 2019 Shafts. You getting this, but with a little bit of twist, because they try to be, I won't say more comical with the ones they do more recently. But yeah, he was Shaft. We knew that he was laying pipe everywhere he went to. That was Shaft. You know, um, it he wasn't the James Bond of stuff, but we knew he got around if he needed to. Um, but yeah, you have to have some idea of who Shaft was. You know, you could know the song, but when you heard the song, you knew that the person you were talking about was somebody who, like, he was the stuff. Another movie that I would say is essential um for black, and this one I guess is just my personal take, and I think some of them are, like I said, my personal beliefs on, because I feel like the main ones are um Roots, The Color Purple, and any Spike Lee joint. Just pick one of them out of his library, and or pick at least two out of his library, and you pretty much have the gist of being black for the most part. Um, but the next one would be Harlem Nights. Harlem Nights is essential because they shot me. He shot me in my pinky toe. I laughed at that part so hard because he fought that old woman so hard. Eddie Murphy was fighting hard against her. But the other reason I say it's important for you because that is one of the only times that you see a grandfather, father, and son of comedy at the same time. Like you see, and I don't mean literally grandfather, father, and son, but I mean like you see three generations of comedy in the same place. Nowhere else would you have seen, I won't say, uh, someone like Red Fox being like a father figure to somebody, well, being in the same place as Richard Pryor, and Richard Pryor being the same place as Eddie Murphy. I mean, like, these were three generations. Like, my granddad probably came up hearing some of Red Fox stuff. My daddy probably came up hearing some of Richard Pryor stuff. I came up hearing some of Eddie Murphy stuff, you know, and I've heard people talk about trying to remake that. I don't think you can. There is no one out there that could redo what you get in that. You couldn't find three generations of comedians like that anymore. You basically be working off of the same people. Because everyone who's around now is basically the same people. The same people that were doing comedy back then is still doing comedy. Who you gonna get? Cedric the Entertainer? I mean, like, it's not like you don't get a somebody who's been doing comedy for over 30 years. I mean, over 40 years into a movie now. Um, as the granddad, and then have somebody who's new to the game. A lot of people that I don't even know any new comics. So it's like a lot of people that's been in the game, like if you just find out who uh Kevin Hart is, you behind. I remember I heard about Kevin Hart and I saw him on Comic View back, and I have the VHS of it uh back in 1990s, like 1994 and stuff like that. That's over 20 well, yeah, that's almost 20 years ago. No, that is 20 years ago. Over 20 years ago. So, it's that is something that you have to think about. You not don't ever have a comedy where you have just the perfect set of three generations comedians, and basically you get the same fun out of all of them. And I feel like that what makes this essential for every black person I've seen, because of those three generations of comedians right there together, having them all three in the room. And I know some people like, yeah, you got Fred Sanford there. Nah, he ain't Fred Sanford this. He is Red Fox. He is funny. It's a lot of humor about how he is. His old scratchy voice. Oh, you big dummy. That kind of stuff. But Richard Pryor smoothness, being Sugar Ray. Um and Eddie Murphy being Mr. Quick. And oh yeah, and Tommy. Cause I laughed at that because that laugh that Tommy had in Harlem Nights always got me. But like I said, that whole thing is something that it's funny all the way through. Um, and to me, the last one that I have to talk about is Coming to America. One of the reasons I've talked about Coming to America is because they're making a second one. This The other reason is it's awesome. I mean, like, you wouldn't have a second one 30 years later if the first one wasn't that good. Like, all the stuff I remember from Come to America, and I didn't even know it was rated R. I was watching that when I was 5. Like, it was right after watching watching a Christmas special that I had on tape. And there it is. I didn't understand everything that I was seeing. But it was awesome to watch. It was something fun that me and my sister liked watching. And we continue to watch. We liked the part where the whole club scene where he goes through all the different ladies and all of them have their own personalities. Like the first one he meets, he's like, hey. She's like, hey, guess what? I worship the devil. I'm like, we already know that's a hard pass. you know, then the next one talking about how her husband's on death row. How next one talking about how guy gotta go an hour and a half. And it wasn't until later on as I was watching the show. I mean, as I was watching other stuff that dealt with Eddie Murphy, I saw like Trading Places, and I saw the connection between Trading Places and Coming to America. But Coming to America is like one of the first times I want to say that you see a wealthy black culture in Africa before you get to Wakanda. And also before that was also before I saw I think it was a TV special called Shaka Zulu, where they were talking about the actual person Shaka Zulu who was a conqueror, um, who was good at it if I remember correctly. But yeah, Coming to America is essential to know. You have to know who Hakeem is. You have to know um who Daryl is. You have to know who Lisa McDowell is. You have to understand the struggles of the black man. And also, again, Samuel L. Jackson coming in there with a shotgun trying to rob them. And Eddie Murphy laying him on his doggone back. Uh, it was great, and I probably took some liberties on this list because it's my list. You know, this is what I believe is some of the movies that are required. You have to sing at least. I'll give you three, and one of these is a box set. The Spike Lee joint is a box set. You can watch anything from them. I'm saying all you need to do is watch three of these. Let's make it four, because I said you need to watch at least two Spike Lee joints. So two Spike Lee joints and any two of the other ones. So Roots, Color Purple, and I say you can put, if you're not black, you can go ahead and try and put in for your black card to your local black person. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you later.